So recently I went through pretty much all of the Orcs Must Die games besides Unchained, because who's got time to play a game that is dead and doesn't work and have to try and find a fix? Who's got time for that? So after completing Orcs Must Die, I wanted to go back and look at Dungeon Defenders, and I thought, what better place to start than one of the Dungeon Defenders games I have not played yet? And that game is Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue, or as I like to call it, Dungeon Defenders Going Boring. I mean, I hardly played this game. I only played it for about 35 minutes. Now, for those of you that don't know but are on this video anyway, Dungeon Defenders is a tower defense game, and its main gameplay is tower defense. Now, this game does something incredibly dumb and just gets rid of a core mechanic of a Dungeon Defenders. You know, the tower defense stuff where you collect gems and you place towers and you can place barricades and you try to guard your gem with the defenses that you make upon waves and waves of enemies. Well, that's all gone, so say goodbye to that. Instead, you can still place like 1 or 2 towers, depending how many that you have in your loadout, but you can place a tower and it lasts about 10 seconds. And no, I'm not joking, sometimes you'll place a tower down and before enemies can even get to it, it will already be gone. Or you could get a map. I don't know if this was a glitch just one time or it just happened a lot, but the enemies literally just spawned on top of my crystal. So you're supposed to defend the crystal, but enemies just keep spawning on top of it. There's no wandering around the map. They just spawn right on top of the crystal and immediately go and smack it. So there's no defenses. You can place a tower that lasts like 10 seconds, but mainly you're just standing there and using your basic attacks and some abilities on enemies over and over again. And it's basically like Dungeon Defenders, just take out all the tower defense stuff and then you're just left with that. At one point it also felt like endless waves or something, because it was like no matter how many times I take out all these enemies, they just keep spawning on top of my crystal and I can't do anything about it. And so I just keep shooting them, but then they just keep spawning until eventually I lose because they just spawn on the crystal and they can always deal damage before I can defeat all of them since they spawn on top of it. All the maps are also pretty small. The boss fights are uninteresting. The little maps, I don't know what you call them, they're just like you're supposed to run through them and defeat the enemies or something. Those are also not that great. I mean, there really wasn't much great about it, to be honest. I mean, I was pretty bored, uninterested. I don't know, about at the 5-minute mark, I was like, what am I playing? What is this? This is not Dungeon Defenders. I don't know what this is, but it's not Dungeon Defenders. I mean, it had decent sound effects and that was pretty much the only decent thing about this game. It's also not like the best roguelite game. I mean, sure, there's some like permanent upgrades, but they're all just, I don't know, kind of basic. Not very, none of them are very interesting. And then also the equipment and items that you get while you're in your run, they're also not very interesting. It's just like, oh, this one's better than that one, so I'll pick up this one and get rid of that one. It's not like, oh, this thing does something way more interesting, or this makes me shoot more bullets or something. I don't really know. I mean, I didn't go through all of it. Again, I only played 35 minutes, but that was way more than enough for me to go, my goodness, I don't want to play this ever again. But everything was just, it was boring. And on top of that, you get it in a chest. You get the items in a chest at the end of a level. And if you forget about that chest and you forget to open it and you move on to the next level, well, you don't get any rewards. So it doesn't stop you and then you pick your items from like a list like most roguelite games do, something around that. No, this game has it in a chest. You open it, you grab your items. If you forget about that, you get nothing. You get nothing. Which, to be honest, some of the levels were so short, they were like 3 waves long, that I just wanted to move on to the next level and see if there was something else that was interesting to look at. So I just forgot about the chest sometimes. I think there was like 3 times in total where I forgot about the chest and I didn't get any rewards. And to be honest, I didn't even notice. And then to make things worse, as if it could get any worse, this game released in early access back in March or April 2022, somewhere around there. I don't actually know, but I can see that one of the first updates was April 1st, 2022, which is kind of funny because this whole game is like an April Fool's joke on the Dungeon Defenders series. But the last update was March 16th, 2023, and then there were no new updates for like 2 years. And then randomly, January 10th, 2025, this game released out of early access after not getting a single update for almost 2 years. I mean, talk about just ripping people off, especially for the $14.99 price tag. This game's more like $4.99 if anything, and even then, it's high priced. And also, if you go into the game's files, it doesn't even say Dungeon Defenders Going Rogue. It says DDS in some of the files, which makes me think that the game's original name was just Dungeon Defenders Scam. Either way, I mean, I know most people probably don't even know that this game exists because it obviously didn't sell very well with only 270 reviews, so I can only guess how many people actually purchased this game, but based on the review count, it can't be that many. And with the giving up on the game and not updating it for 2 years and then releasing it out of early access, I can't imagine it sold well enough for them to even think about continuing the game. In fact, that's probably what happened. The game didn't sell very well, so they just gave up and decided not to care anymore. They also have this, Defenders of Etheria, which is basically what this game Going Rogue was kind of supposed to be like, I guess. This is another roguelite game, except for this one's top down and has the 3 cards that you select like the regular Bullet Heaven roguelite games. And it has bosses and co-op and all that stuff. And this game is apparently going to be $10 when it releases because it says Kickstarter price game key $5, which is a 50% discount only on Kickstarter. So I guess technically if you want to play this game when it releases, well, you can pay $5 right now. I mean, that's if you have any faith in them to make a good game at this point. So I found something just incredibly hilarious, honestly, and that is right here. If you look at this game, it's a top-down roguelike game, and I just wonder if it's going to have controller support, and because most games like this kind of do have controller support. But I scrolled down here and I found something kind of hilarious, and that is the stretch goals that you'll get the Prince Hero at 25,000, Drake and Frost Region at 50,000, Prince Spec Ops skin at 75,000, and then Steam Deck support at 100,000. You're telling me you have to get to 100,000 to add Steam Deck support? Adding Steam Deck support is not that difficult. I mean, let's just be honest here. The only thing you really need to do to have Steam Deck support is, well, one, your game has to run decent, which based on the look of this game and, you know, what it is, it'll probably run just fine on the Steam Deck. I mean, there's a very similar game that's really good. It's called Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Really good survivors like roguelike, Bullet Heaven, whatever you want to call it game. It's really good. I'm probably going to make a video on it at some point, but it's very good. It runs extremely well on the Steam Deck. But yeah, 100,000 for Steam Deck support. That basically says if you want controller support, it'll be 100,000. But if there's already controller support, it means that it should work on the Steam Deck. So I'm not really sure why Steam Deck support is at 100,000. Also, I found something interesting is that this store page right here for Defenders of Etheria is Dungeon Defenders, but it is not made by Chromatic Games. It's actually made by Community Made Games. Now, I don't know if that's like a sub studio of them, and I'm not even going to bother searching that up, but I just found it interesting because Community Made Games is has not made any games besides this one, or at least on Steam. So this is a new developer that's on Steam, a new developer studio. But then again, who knows? So I was looking at their store page, and I can see right here it says partial controller support, which honestly, partial controller support basically means it has controller support. It may not show some buttons on screen or something like that, is usually what that means. Because if we click here on your Xbox controller, all these games have partial controller support, and most of them run perfectly fine, or even were made with controller in mind. Like for example, Assassin's Creed Shadows, perfectly playable with controller, and it has partial controller support, and so does this game, which means Dungeons of Etheria has controller support, which then means, I don't know what they mean by Steam Deck support. I don't know if that means a native Linux build, but I mean, if your game has controller support, it can be played on the Steam Deck, especially a game like this. Either way though, that's going to be it for this video, so hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, tell me what you think about the Dungeon Defenders franchise and this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed, and I'll see you next time.